Welcome, everybody, to Discussing Depression with Casey Moran. I am Casey Moran, and I'm excited to have this episode go out because it is sometimes I do solo episodes, and sometimes I do phoners, but sometimes people don't mind driving from LA or Santa Barbara or wherever it is to Simi Valley if it's at a good time where you could beat traffic. And this is a fun episode because I get to interview someone I've known before I even started stand-up comedy. I met this guy that is our guest at CSUN when I was broadcasting baseball games like 4 years ago, I guess now. Something like that. And I met him because he worked for CSUN and he was doing all the events. And every time we would have a game, he was the one making sure that everything was set up right. And then he would clean up afterwards. And then I would see him at the Comedy Store just as a fan. I was just a fan of stand-up. And I would see him going up after the open mic or watch him perform at Flappers. And it's and then I started doing stand-up and I started booking him. And then I get to see him, every Tuesday. He hosts an open mic in La Crescenta at the Roar Room or just talk to him on Facebook. So really excited. This is the longest intro ever. I'm sorry. I'm really excited to have my friend, fellow comic, Nelson and Ventress on. Nelson, what's up, man?
Hello. How's it going? Good to be here.
It's going good, man. Thanks for coming out, dude. I know it's a drive, but
it's not that bad. It's like half hour.
Yeah, it's not bad. If you do it at the right time. Like people are like, oh, whenever I see somebody in stand up, when I say, oh, I have some shows in Simi, they always go, how far see me? And I'm like, it really depends on when you leave.
Oh, yeah.
If you leave at like 6, you're fucked, or 5. But if you leave at if you're in the morning, if you leave after 10 to like 2, you're good. If you, or like late at night, like 8, 9, you're fine.
It's definitely a better drive than when I go to work. And
you work in downtown. That's right. You work at, for the Rams almost, for the Coliseum, right?
Yeah, for the Coliseum.
Yeah. That's gotta be, because this is the first year they're doing football there again. That's pro. So it's gotta be the downtown. You can live in downtown and it's a shit drive. It's just
it
one-way
takes you
streets.
30 minutes to get one block.
Yeah, it's insane. How does that work with parking? Do you guys just have your own parking?
We do for non-event days, but event days we have to park down near like Staples Center.
Oof. Like Figueroa and all that?
Yeah.
That's not fun.
You got to get shuttled in.
Yep. I bet I always get parking tickets in downtown, man. It doesn't matter where, when. I always look at the signs. I always think I have it down. I always just misread the signs or the meters. It's the worst.
And the signs always say something different every day.
Every time. It's every time. They're good at what they do, those parking people. Well, yeah, man. I did meet you before stand-up, but I kind of got to know you really through stand-up.
Oh,
that makes sense. Just at mics or shows or whatever, and you were nice enough to do a few of my shows, and
you were nice enough to book me.
Yeah, I love putting comics on, man. That especially ones I know and I like. And you did the bookstore show, which was my first show I ever produced in Simi, or my first produced show, I guess. Yeah, it was fun, man. We had like 70 people. It was just people because I didn't tell my family. I told my family I was doing stand-up, but I never told them where, and I was just hitting mics until I felt ready enough to do it. And then I remember them saying, "Can you do clean?" And you see my act, dude. I don't do clean, so I was like, all right. So I wrote a clean set just for that. I've yet to use any of that material, but I did it then, and it was looking back, that lineup's pretty insane.
It was
Kyle Clark, Andy Erickson, Jenny Zagrino, Brian DeMoy. This is before the triplets were even a thing. Yeah. They were a thing, but they weren't a comedy thing. Nobody really local. Kyle Clark is from here. Who else is on that? Andy's husband.
Yeah. I think that was it.
Yeah, and then my friend did stand up for the first time, 5 minutes. He had a beard. That was fun. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It was a fun time, man.
There were children in the show.
There were children. It was just a good time, dude. We had a fun. And then they gave me a budget, not the bookstore, but I got a sponsor, and I was able to pay comics. It was a lot of fun looking back. They don't really like me at that bookstore because they said a lot of people weren't buying books, and I'm like, yeah, but more people. Andy is I used my whole when I made $30 to buy stuff, or $20 or whatever, and then people knew that there was a bookstore there, and I was like, this is more business you were gonna get on a night.
Exactly.
It packed out too. It was cool.
That bookstore lady that was there did not seem
interested. She was not happy about it. Let's just say I'll never do another show there. I have enough places that are more receptive to comedy because there's alcohol there.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you can't bring your children in. I mean,
there aren't Bibles for sale.
Yeah, there sure are Bibles there. There's everything. It's interesting. But yeah, man, since then I've been able to work with you a couple other times, and then I'll see you. I try to get out to your mic when I can. It's just that the time is bad because I always go to something else around that time.
Yeah, it's usually the case with that mic.
Well, that's the thing is I think because it's a little further out of people's way, if they already have a mic at 8 or a show at 8, and because you don't know when you're getting up, it's hard. But if I have a Tuesday off, I'm always there because it's so much fun. Nobody can get 7-10 minute sets anyway.
Yeah, that's why you do it for that long, because it's so out of the area.
It's yeah. I mean, it's worth if you need. I always do it when I have a show and I just want to run that excite. Like I would run it before I did a roast battle pre-show or whatever because it's like. And the comics that do go are very supportive,
and it's a very good practice room.
Yeah, I think any bar show or mic, which kind of goes in the same category, are just workout rooms.
Yeah,
until you get on those shows that are book shows with killer lineups, and audiences, which is hard because we're in such a golden age of comedy. I feel that you're doing shows now, or you see shows like you can see Louis C.K. or Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock at the Comedy Store any night.
Oh yeah,
almost. And so
last night Louis was there.
That's what I heard. Yeah. So it's like, when I'm starting to produce shows in LA, and I'm like, man, how am I going to get people here when they can go see the best of the best? 20 minutes, 10 minutes from here. So it is hard, but it's a lot of fun, man. Let me ask you this. Did you get into stand-up for any reason in particular? Were you a fan, or was it like, were you going through some shit in life and you were like, I just need to laugh and I need to make people laugh?
It kind of was the last part where I was in college and I just didn't like being a student. I hated school, didn't want to do homework.
Sure.
I every day I was going out to the Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store, or Flappers even,
right.
Just watching open mic. I went out
to
watch open mics.
Yeah, it's fun.
I just need to do this.
Right.
I've been wanting to do this ever since I was in high school, and so
sure.
I just screw it.
What was the first open mic you did? Flappers?
First open mic was at Flappers
the bar
Comedy
show?
Club.
I did the same thing
on March 30th, 2014.
Oh, so I didn't start much. I started in October of 2014. John Parr was the host?
No.
John Parr was the host, and I did it.
I forget who was the host, but my second time ever was the next day at Flappers, and I got heckled by Garfunkel and Oates.
No way.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And I hate them to this day.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I haven't really got heckled. Not by comics, but I still go to open mics because I book shows, and sometimes I was like, you know what? There's so much talent out there, you never know who you're gonna see.
Oh yeah.
I've booked some good people, but there are some lifelong open mic legends that I just fucking will stay the whole show if they are going on. This guy Darrell Davey, have you seen him?
Oh, Darrell Davey? I was thinking of Darren Davis.
No. Darren Davis is good. Darrell Davey is oh my god, dude. He has this whole bit, and I'm only saying this word because he says it, and I'm not saying the N-word. But he says...
As a half-black person, I give you permission.
No, I wouldn't. I would never. He says that Mr. Clean is a faggot, and he has this whole bit on how Mr. Clean is a faggot. And he goes on and on about it. And then he's from Santa Clarita, and he's like, me and my boys, we call it Santa Clitoris because that town needs to get fucked.
That sounds like something a Santa Clarita person would say.
It's the best, dude. I watch his YouTube videos almost every day just to make me feel better about what I'm doing in stand-up. It's hilarious, dude. Me and Tom Allen text about this guy all the time.
I don't think I've ever seen him before.
Yeah, he's hilarious, dude. I'll send you a link. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, I feel so much better about my material.
When you started talking about open mic legends, I thought you were going to say GT.
GT was there last night. He does the bird thing.
Oh,
is that him? Yeah, unreal, dude. He is fun. He is definitely a legend. Mikey McKernan is a guy that's
Mikey. He's a great guy though.
He's not an open mic bad comic. He's a good comic that happens to do open mics that I have to watch. There's what I mean by it is people that I'm at an open mic, even though I see so much comedy all the time, I need to stay and watch their set because it just makes me laugh every time.
Kenny Lyon, Jared Levin.
Yeah, Jared Levin's hilarious.
I remember booking him on a show at CSUN once just to see what would happen.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I think I might put Darrell Davey on just to be like, you know what? This is for my own enjoyment. I've earned this.
Exactly.
I want to watch 10 minutes of this disaster. Obviously, do it in a room that's not a good one.
Yeah, you have to stack everybody around him.
Yeah. Yeah, I really just put on some like Kate Quigley after him.
Get bangers and this guy.
Oh my god. Yeah, that would be hilarious. Yeah, I love that. But so when you did your first one, did you feel good about it in the sense that you're like, I'm going to continue doing this, or you're like, I don't know, this is going?
I went into it kind of like, I don't want to be the funniest person here. I just don't want to be the worst.
Yeah. That's a great point, because I think that's, looking back, that might have been my mindset too. I kind of looked after I did mine to go, okay, is anybody bombing worse than I did?
Yeah.
And then when I realized they were, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not. I can hang with these people. But it wasn't. I mean, people shit on Flappers, but like I learned so much at that bar. I'm like, I've never auditioned for them. I've never done any show that wasn't the bar, the open mics, even at the U Room.
And for as crappy as they feel like they are at the moment, they actually do help a lot.
They help because you have to.
You really have to work.
Well, yeah, you have to work, and then you start to realize, you're going to go to a lot of open mics where just the comics aren't listening to your stuff.
Yeah.
But then again, even when comics are listening to your stuff, you're not going to hear a lot of laughter from comedians because they see it every night. They see a lot of these premises on Donald Trump and Hillary and all these things that are similar. But when you have a premise or a joke that hits in a room full of comics, you'll know it when you'll hear them say, like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Like, that's their laughter.
That's the clue.
Or like they're like, oh, I like that. Or like they tell you afterwards. Like I did one last night at Flappers, and the stuff was hitting because the people at the front who were comics too were laughing, and then Michael Mansour went on after me and we just talked about my set and then tied it into his set. So you're like, oh, okay, well this guy's taking his 3 minutes he waited for and tying something that I did into his thing. That has to be an example of something. And I normally don't do well at that bar one, but I used to hate it. I was just telling this guy that, George Burns, I was like, dude, I used to hate this mic. And then I realized it made me so much stronger when I started doing shit rooms. And I was like, do the shows at the arena and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be...
It's like instead of a room that's super small with 6 people in it, it's a room that's super huge with 6 people in it.
Yeah, we had a lot of people that one time you were there, but then it felt like there was 5 people in it. The TVs were still on.
It was Halloween. There were
Halloween time.
Decorations that were going on.
Yeah, there was Office Depot chairs and people were putting them on the stage. It was a madhouse, dude. But you need to do those rooms to get better. And I remember telling you, it went up to you, Connor, and David Dorward, and I was like, I'm sorry, man. And you were like, no, we love doing this stuff. It's fun. And David wanted me to bring him up as the king of San Diego. Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. I love David.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's just do the rest of this podcast doing David impressions.
Oh, you know who does a great one is Robbie Goodwin.
Oh, yeah.
He does maybe the best Dorward, which is just, David Dorward now is a person that comics want to get famous just so they can get famous doing an impression of David Dorward.
Have you ever seen San Diego comics whenever they come up and do a David Dorward impression?
No.
It's fantastic because they always come up.
Who's a San Diego comic?
Oh, there are tons of them up here.
I didn't even know that. Do I know any of them?
Ehsan Ahmad is a San Diego guy. I could look through my Facebook,
I'm going to have to look at one point. Let me know.
Trey Stewart.
Oh, Trey Stewart's I didn't know that. Does he do a Dorward?
He doesn't do a Dorward.
Oh.
But I would love to hear it.
Trey Stewart doing a David Dorward would be... Yeah, that makes sense. Trey Stewart is one of the most relaxed people I've ever met. Really cool guy. All right, man. So you got into stand-up. You started, not only did you start while being a student and working and all that, you were starting hitting open mics, but you started producing shows at CSUN.
Yeah.
And you started hosting and then, then you got the Roar Room. So you were in the grind pretty early on in stand-up.
Yeah. When I hit it
I'm
super hard.
I'm the same way. Because you have to, man. It's like when you decide you're going to do something, in my opinion, what's the point of half-assing it? If you decide I'm going to go in, I'm going all in or I'm not.
Exactly. You can't get better at it unless you actually try at it,
Right. And I think if you grind as hard as we do, you could still do it part-time with still having hope that you can get something out of it. Meaning, I can't commit to it full-time, meaning quit a job.
Yeah.
But I could give everything I have when I'm off and book shows, trade spots, do podcasts. Yeah, you guest on them.
You definitely spread your horizons.
I try to, man.
Yeah, do anything comedy related.
Dude, I'll go on anybody's podcast. I'll help with anything.